One of the biggest conversations surrounding the National Hockey League is, will Jack Eichel leave Buffalo, and could he potentially land in Canada? Eric Engels joins us. And Eric, as you weigh in on this topic, I know it's a hot button topic in Montreal. Could he be a Canadian?
Oh, I haven't heard anything about it over the last week. I've only had 10,000 people come up to me asking me if he's a Montreal Canadian yet. I understand people are excited about a player like this, a franchise centerman, something Marc Bergevin has been in pursuit of for 9 seasons as general manager of the Montreal Canadiens. But as of right now, and based on the conversations I'm having, I don't believe Marc Bergevin wants to give up the type of assets that would go into this. And you know what? Anyone who is looking at a Jack Eichel deal has to consider the medical situation here. And he was after a very controversial surgery to have a disc replacement put in. If he has to have spinal fusion, that would be a serious threat to his career. Immobilizing that area in his neck, that would be very serious. And if rest is the prescription, how long will it last to keep him healthy? Meanwhile, everyone talks about Montreal, and obviously they're a team that people would point to as a Jack Eichel suitor. But I look at Calgary, and it seems as though drastic change has been in the offing for the last 2 years. We talked about Sean Monahan, Johnny Gaudreau. The speculation has been endless. Ryan, where are the Flames at in this dossier?
Well, it is a big topic here in Calgary, as you might imagine. I'm not so sure it has the same heat that maybe it does in Montreal, but it is a conversation, and no doubt both sides have talked between Buffalo and Calgary, and why not? This is a superstar player. You have to kick tires on it, but I believe the ask, as reported and as we've all heard and talked about, the ask does sound as though it is about prospects and first-round picks. Is a team like Calgary or any other team willing to, given the risk that you just mentioned, Eric, willing to, I guess, give up on so much of their potential future? Now, Jack Eichel's a young man and a talented player, but with some uncertainty, can you afford to give up that many draft picks, however many they may ask, and potential prospects as well? I'm not so sure in Calgary that they're willing to at this point, but I'm quite certain that a conversation is taking place. But I'm not so sure at the end of the day where it will go. And I guess if we're talking about, what it would take for currency, what does Montreal have, Eric, that they could offer if they're going to jump back into this one?
Well, I think if you're Kevin Adams, GM of the Buffalo Sabres, and I actually like the way he's playing this, he's holding out for the best possible package. You pick up the phone, you call Marc Bergevin, you say, if it doesn't start with Nick Suzuki or Cole Caulfield or Alex Romanov, we may as well not have a conversation. And I believe from Bergevin's end of it, that conversation isn't happening anymore because those are prospects that he's not willing to part with. And I should say they're more than prospects. They're now established players in the NHL, and 2 of them had a real breakout party in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I don't think he wants to part with them. So I don't believe the interest level is as serious as some people would hope it would be around Montreal salivating over a franchise center like this. And I'll say one more thing about Kevin Adams here. He locked Jack Eichel into this deal. Jack Eichel signed himself to this deal. And you know what? He's under no pressure to move him, no matter where the relationship stands and how much acrimony there is between both parties. He cannot afford to give up this player for less than he deserves. If Calgary doesn't go down this road, going back to the Flames here, what do they do here? Because we've been talking about a shakeup in Calgary, and especially with the way this last season went, I would think some big things are in the offing for Tree Living.
Yeah, certainly mention Adams. He's got to get this one right. And certainly Brad Treliving has to get whatever next move he makes. He has to get that right as well. And, the Eichel topic is one that if it were to happen would really slot things down the middle perfectly. This is a player with some risk. This is a player with some upside. This is a player who's one of the most competitive players in the National Hockey League. And there is some familiarity with a couple of key members in the Calgary Flames like Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, Noah Hanifin, just to name a few. What he does, though, Eric, going forward, if this does not happen, is the $1 million question, because you have lost Mark Giordano to the expansion draft. You do not have a captain at this point. You've got a hole now on that blue line. There are some players who have emerged and developed to where they are regular and contributing and key members on that blue line, young players who have really come into their own. But you've got to solidify that blue line as well to go along with the recent acquisition of a guy like Chris Tanev. But up front, you've got to acquire a player who can get it done when it matters most. It is essential that you get into the playoffs when you're the Calgary Flames, but it is just as essential, if not more, and it is more essential, that they find a player who's a difference maker in the postseasons. A lot of questions still remain in Calgary, and they need answers fast.